We took many years before we got Russ to enjoy his first IPA.
Yeah, I was never an IPA drinker. Now there are several, Sierra Nevada Torpedo being one of the ones that
Which
I'm
is
just
magical.
Like, I'm just
magical that Russ enjoys that beer. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's. Coming to you somewhat live from the Beer to Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room on Washington Street in magnificent Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big John and Five, where I get my good buddy here, Big John Richards, who is the beer whisperer at Beer to Whiskey, to pick a beer from one of Barley's 72 or so taps, 50, 60 cans and bottles. We sniff it, we sip it, we kibitz about it. John tells us usually a little bit of background about the brewery, and sometimes we get a little brewing history, which is a lot of fun. And then we drink some beer. Not copious amounts of beer, at least on camera, but we get to drink some beer. During the course of the day, we drink a lot of beer.
It's a good day.
It is a good day. John, what have you done here? You've got another opaque beer.
You know, this one is a little. This one's a little hazy. This one's kind of.
It's not as much as the other one.
It's definitely not cloudy, but this one's.
John is not a fan of, in general terms, of opaque beers.
Right.
Hazy beers. Although we've had some today that he picked that were delightful, and this is probably another one. This is not quite as hazy and dark, opaque as the other ones.
This one is.
But it's been amazing that he has done this today.
Probably. Well, yeah, but it's not a hazy beer in the sense that it's, you know, got a bunch of shit floating in it. You know, the way a lot of hazy beers do.
Yeah, we don't cotton to that. We don't cotton to that.
So this is one of our Greenville breweries. It's Liability Brewing, and they're on the shelves here in South Carolina, but I don't know that they're on the shelves outside of South Carolina. But they are one of, if not my favorite breweries in South Carolina.
I would certainly put them at the top of the list in Greenville.
Yeah, they are. I think they.
And we've got, what, 14,
probably are
15,
for sure
16
my favorite Greenville brewery.
Yeah, these guys make some really good beer.
They have a lot of different beers. I mean, you walk into their tap room and you're likely to find, out of their 12 taps, maybe only 2 or 3 that you recognize from last time you were there. They're always brewing new beers, which I think is good. Especially, you know, for a new brewery that doesn't have.
Well, that's one of the advantages of being a small brewery.
Yeah, you just get to have fun and brew
you
stuff.
You do what the hell you want to brew.
Right. So this was a one-time only brew from them. I don't know if it was a one-time only brew or a once-a-year brew, or nothing's ever a one-time only brew with anybody. But Liability has a history of pulling some of the recipes back out of the box and trying some of those beers again. And this is a rye amber ale that's called Every Time You Close Your Ryes. Everything they do is some kind of a pun. It's quite a lot of. Their beer names are a lot of fun, or a movie reference of some kind. Often it's a Star Wars reference. I'm trying not to get ourselves sued by putting too many brand names out there. But I have not had this beer yet either. We both decided this would be a fun little experiment to give this a try.
And it's a rye amber, and how many of those are there?
Right.
You don't
exactly.
That often.
So this should be fun because it's going to have those big spicy notes of the rye, plus those sweeter caramelly sourdough or shortbread kind of notes that a lot of ambers and reds have. I expect good things out of this because I expect good things out of Liability, and Correct. I think it's just a fun style.
Yep.
So let's give it a shot.
Want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
Text Miss Lily.
Here's to it.
My smeller's not great.
It's not as big a nose as I expected.
I'm not getting anything on the nose.
I'm getting aroma. Just it's not as aggressive as I expected it to be. real tasty.
I like that. It's dry. It's dry.
Yeah. I get that rye spice on the back.
Yep.
That's what I'm getting as I'm talking over it. But it's sweet up front, and smooth. I mean, the entry is real easy, and then it opens up the longer it sits with you.
What's the ABV of this?
I'm gonna have to turn around because I forgot. 5.6.
I could turn around, but I can't read it. So
5.6. Hooray!
5.6. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Imagine that. I could drink. I could drink 3 or 4.
I could absolutely sit down and have a session with this beer.
Yeah.
This is just big enough to keep your attention, but easy enough to let you sit down and sip on it over and over.
And it's a little complex in its in the flavors.
There's a lot of good stuff going on in there. Yeah, that's nice and bready. I again get that rye spice on the back. The front end is maybe even got a touch of fruitiness to it. A little bit of pears or something up front that I'm tasting. It's so quick on that front end that I'm gonna have to sip it again. I almost said apples and decided I shouldn't say that one.
John's got a great palate, but he's able to find green apples in a lot of things.
Yeah, my palate just picks that one up, I guess. There's a lot of whiskeys, a lot of bourbons that I pick up apple out of that.
We talk about apples all the time when we're sipping bourbon together. So I have to give him a little crap about it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I really do. This is pleasantly complex. Where there's, like I said, enough going on that it keeps my attention, but it's a real easy drinker.
It is.
And it's still sessionable at 5.5.
It's not, having had 3 or 4 sips, I probably can't say this, but I don't think this is something that's going to wear my palate out.
No, I agree.
I think it's interesting enough that you can keep drinking it.
Yeah, there was a big rye IPA fad several years ago, and I resisted that one as well because rye is a pretty
that's a big
overbearing
ingredient. Yes, that's a big ingredient.
And it is in bourbon. It is when you put it in bourbon. It is when you put it in whiskey. You know, there's a rye whiskey category for a reason.
Right.
And rye is an aggressive ingredient, and sometimes you can put enough of it in there that it just overpowers everything, and that's all you get. And that's the lazy man's way out.
They're walking a tightrope here and doing it rather brilliantly.
Right. Yeah, they're doing really good work. They've got a good brewing team down there. Their head brewer, their lead brewer is a Thomas Creek grad, and we've got a bunch of those opening breweries around here. He didn't open this brewery, but he's their lead brewer down there now. And
Thomas Creek is a long-time Greenville brewery. I don't know if that's
an establishment. It's the oldest one in Greenville.
Is it the old? I kind of figured it was.
Where I think
and
they got beat by Palmetto down in Charleston by a couple of years, and RJ Rockers in Spartanburg by a year, but they were our first brewery in Greenville.
They're not. They've kind of topped out in terms of how much they make. I think they're. I can't say. It's been a long time since I've interviewed.
Well, for a while they were in 20 or 25 states.
Yeah, they've kind of pulled back.
That down.
They've kind of pulled back a little bit, but because they were the biggest thing in Greenville, there are a lot of Greenville brewers who are alumni of working at Thomas Creek.
There's 12 or 15 of them just in town.
Yeah, there's a bunch. And there are a couple of Thomas Creek beers that I like a lot, but it doesn't have the personality that.
They are a brewery that does have a firm set core lineup. for a long time, they never deviated from that. They brewed those beers, and they contract brewed for some different breweries, and that's what they did.
It was interesting. Back when I was doing a lot of brewery shoots, going into breweries and talking to brewers and the marketing people and how'd you get started and doing those kind. And there's I don't know, probably 25 of those on the brewery playlist. I was shooting a brewery called Community Brewing in Dallas. And those guys got their start contract brewing at Thomas Creek in Greenville, South Carolina. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, they're all over. There's a
they were a
bunch
big
of
deal.
breweries in Florida where you're from that for a long time, all their beer came out of Thomas Creek.
Yeah. So they were, Thomas Creek, that's kind of their claim to fame, is contract brewing for other brewers.
And they've got, we're not even drinking a Thomas Creek beer, we're talking about it, but they've got several medals at competitions that they brew good beer. Brought it up because they have not historically done anything, along the lines of a new beer every month, a different beer every day, whereas a lot of these new breweries, you have to almost come in with a different beer every time somebody walks through the door.
And Liability does that.
They do that well.
This is a terrific amber.
Yeah.
It is a terrific amber.
There's a lot of ambers. I don't always go for the red and brown beers for one reason, because I'm a super taster to sweet. Things taste more sweet to me than they do to most other people. So a sweeter beer tends to be oversweet to me, which is why I gravitate towards bitter and hoppy beers, because I taste the sweetness in them more than most other people do. This beer satisfies that in me while still maintaining a really, really easy drinkable character that I think would appeal to people who wouldn't necessarily like a bitter beer.
Yeah, I would agree with that. For what my opinions were.
Well, Russ is not a bitter beer drinker. Russ,
I'm just the guy that sits here to keep him going.
Well, we took many years before we got Russ to enjoy his first IPA.
Yeah, I was never an IPA drinker. Now there are several, Sierra Nevada Torpedo being one of the ones that
I'm just magical.
I'm just
magical that Russ enjoys that beer. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that is something. And it's just a matter of putting yourself out there and trying these things, and you will always, you never say, oh, I couldn't drink a stout, because there is a stout out there that you'll like. I never drink a porter. There's a porter out there. I never drink an IPA. There's an IPA you'd like. So all I am saying is
keep an open heart.
You've got tap rooms like Barley's, and every town has a tap room of some kind, and they've got all kinds of different things in it. And go try some stuff out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah, I think we can let these people go.
Yeah.
They can.
We've
those that can't find this beer.
We've meandered. This has not been a straight line journey. This has been a meander.
Yep. And it's been a good one.
So damn lucky. See you next time.